Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 158, where podcast talks about pop culture things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the regular show.
Yeah,
How you
that's
doing?
right. Kind of regular time, regular show. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. A little stuffy nose, but otherwise trucking along.
It's
Yeah.
the far-reaching effects of our Minnesota winter, non-winter.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, it's been a busy, fun weekend. So lots happening in the world of pop culture for sure that
Very
I've been
true.
following the last week. So we're gonna cover some of it. I ranted briefly about Xbox and the tail end of our anime show last week. A little bit of an update, I guess, on that front. So we'll talk about that.
Mhm.
And fun little thing. George R. Martin's been in the news for a few things, a few reasons.
Not for
Several
any of the good
several reasons
reasons.
really. Yeah, I mean, maybe one good reason, but otherwise
Yeah.
less positive reasons. So
Yes.
maybe we'll discuss that a little bit. And then like we've been a couple weeks ago we talked about a Nicolas Cage movie because it was his
Mhm.
birthday.
His 60th
And
birthday.
yeah, big
Big
deal.
60.
So we're going
Mhm.
back in time to what feels like not that long ago, but it is now, I guess. Uh,
Mhm.
the year 1997. I'm talk Face Off. So
Classic. Classic Cage.
yeah, yeah. So we're gonna get into that in the latter half of the episode. We'll be talking spoilery about it, and yeah, hopefully you can take a trip down nostalgia lane with us 90s kids, and yeah. But before all that stuff, we'll have our weeks and we got to talk about drink holidays.
Of course. Not too much to go through. We're just closing out January, the very last day, the 31st. Personal favorite of mine. I am sadly not drinking it, but I have recently, at the finest of Wisconsin supper clubs, it was Brandy Alexander Day on the 31st. So
Nice.
cheers to that.
Finest club in Wisconsin?
I mean, I don't know. It was a feel good time. I enjoyed it very
Okay,
much.
okay.
It also
All
was
right.
like English themed. So there was like suits of
Mm,
armor everywhere. There were like coats of arms on the walls. It was like very
nice.
my vibe. So I
Yeah,
dug it.
right. Cool.
But yeah, and it's warm enough in Minnesota that, having a nice ice cream drink would not be out of hand right now.
I can see you in that environment there, Andrea. I was like, Brandy Alexander, please.
Another.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, it was a really fun time. Yeah, Dana and I were just hanging out, drinking Brandy Alexander's, playing cards, obviously being the coolest of the cool. But
Yeah.
it was supper club environment, so we fit right in. We made
Nice.
friends with
All
the
right.
bartender who like snuck us some like extras of whatever they were making. So yeah, it was a
Cool.
good time.
Very nice.
Other good times, other holidays that you can celebrate. February 3rd, it was Pisco Sour Day, which I believe both Brazil and Chile claim as their national drink. Um,
Okay.
I myself have never had one. I know Pisco is like a particular alcohol. I'm not sure what it's based off of. I think I've said this in the past, but now can't remember. It escapes me.
hmm Okay.
But if you want to celebrate, that is an option. You can do what I'm doing. Celebrate February 8th, International Scotch Day.
Nice.
You look
Scotchy scotch
like
scotch.
all down my belly. You look like you're like anticipatory. Are you also celebrating Scotch Day?
Well, yes, I am. What kind of
Well,
scotch you got,
yes.
Andrea?
I love it. Well, yes.
What kind of scotch you have?
The kind that's Scotch.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
the fancy kind.
Hold on. I gotta look it up again. because I just bought it recently.
Sure.
Meringue. Is
Glenmorangie,
that? Am
yeah.
I saying that in any sort of
Glenmorangie,
way,
yeah.
shape, or form? Morangi,
I think it's just Murray.
Morangi,
Glenmorangie.
Glenmoray,
Yeah.
Glenmorangi. Okay, now I'm doing it.
Someone will
Yeah,
correct us in chat,
Glenmoray.
right?
I
Nice.
am
Okay.
terrible with pronunciations, but yes, that is what I'm drinking.
Um, yeah,
Oh, are you being super appropriate to some of our topics tonight and doing a
yeah,
GOT? Yeah, you are.
yeah. So, I wasn't really feeling like having anything, I have to say, but I'm like, well, this fits. I can't let the opportunity go by. So I, at the moment, still have 3 different Game of Thrones whiskeys. And,
Mm,
the family that's been focused on most in, the recent Martin world tellings has been Targaryen. So
very
I
true.
have, the, House Targaryen
Nice.
single
Very
malt
appropriate.
scotch. Mhm. So House Targaryen Fire and Blood single malt scotch from the Game of Thrones collection, Cardew Gold Reserve. Um,
Fancy, fancy.
so yeah, it's let's see if it says anything about it. Fueled by the same fiery spirit, encouraged to conquer all challenges in their way. Helen Cumming and her daughter-in-law Elizabeth were pioneers in the male-dominated whiskey industry during the 1800s and largely responsible for the early success at Cardew. This single malt scotch celebrates these legendary women and their unwavering perseverance with a liquid that's rich in texture and balance of sweet fruit, dark chocolate, toffee, and spice. So,
Mm, that sounds
yeah.
delicious.
So the whiskeys, the Game of Thrones whiskeys are running a little low. The Targaryen one is the one we have the most of yet. So that's a
Yay.
fair bit left. Um, I'm always like kind of bounce back and forth between should we just finish some off or like keep focusing on the ones that have more to
Hmm.
keep them around because these are collectors. I for me it's a collector's item, so I kind of
John,
don't want it
I
to run
just
out.
want to point out you are missing like a serious ASMR moment because
I mean,
like
did you
you like
didn't pick any of that
popped
up?
the top off and then you like slid the whiskey out and then you were like boom, like the bottle
Did did
pouring
it pick
it.
any
I
of that
mean,
up?
it picked up all of that,
Oh,
but
good.
I'm
There we
just
go.
saying, like, there you go.
There you are. A little whiskey, just be like glug 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 glug, glug. And then I
See?
swish it.
Oh,
I
that
don't
one
have
we
the
couldn't quite.
oh, I couldn't hear. Okay, probably for the best.
We just
I
gained a bunch of ASMR people and then immediately lost them. They were like, "Oh,
yeah.
no.
It's
Too far, too far."
like I have a new graphics card and it's not the one, it's not the same make and make of the other one, so I don't have my fancy noise canceling software, so now it can pick up that stuff because previously a lot of that would have just been cut
Sure.
out. Nothing.
Well,
So,
just, thoughts to plan for future shows if you wanna
mhm.
just slide out those
Now,
smooth sounds.
you know when I'm serious when I've got the, like, ear-shaped microphones. You seen that?
Yes, I
They're like
have.
yeah. Mhm. So, then I'm ready to go for the ASMR world. So, well, salud. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yours is even on the rocks. Perfect.
Mine is a scotch and soda
Mm. Oh, okay. Yeah.
and drugs because I felt that was appropriate for today.
Nice. Okay. Perfect.
Just dump a pile of drugs in there,
Mhm.
a la
Mhm.
Castor Troy.
Mhm. I just say it's not it's like I know we got one more holiday come up here yet, but I wanted to show a picture. I don't know if it'll show up, but Ashley took it and it didn't turn out the best. This is me next to cardboard. I get my picture next to cardboard standees. This is Aaron Paul and what's his face from Breaking Bad. Um, Aaron
I
Paul
I
and
couldn't I'm sorry, I couldn't discern any features of anybody, so I can't tell you.
sure, yeah. I just blanking on his name. The star of Breaking Bad. Um,
Brian,
Bryan Cranston.
uh,
Bryan Cranston.
yes,
Thank you.
yes,
Yes. So yeah, there's a cardboard standee of Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul because they came out with a tequila and mezcal because it's the thing to do now. So I
it
did
is.
try that recently, um, which was pretty good. I enjoyed. I'm not a aficionado by any means,
Mhm.
but it's called Dos Hombres, I believe. So
Appropriate.
yeah, and it was good. So I just thought everybody should know they have a new tequila and mezcal out there if you're interested.
Ah, celebrity alcohol is very much a thing right now.
Hmm.
Like, it's so everywhere. Everybody has a something.
Right.
Like, the other day I was in the liquor store and, like, very nearly got sucked into buying, like, Jason Momoa vodka. I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, it's so cool." And then I was like, "But why? Like, why? Just because it's Jason Momoa's." I mean, I love him, and also, like, do I need to buy his vodka? Especially if I didn't even know
If
that
you're
until I,
out
like
of vodka,
if I, like, picked up the bottle and was like, "Oh, I didn't even know he had one." Like, did he care to promote it? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Like,
if
should
you're
I
out of
try?
vodka, then you should. You might as well.
True. Maybe next time. Maybe next
If
time.
you're like, well, here it is, but I'm have plenty of vodka already. The tough thing with alcohol is that it doesn't go bad. So you can't be like, well, I'll wait till I finish the other one because it's like,
Right.
no, who cares? Just have another
True.
one. It's not like
True.
an expiration date. Let's try this celebrity milk brand. Well, I'll finish my other carton first because that's gonna go bad.
But
So,
conversely, it doesn't go bad, so if you hate it, it feels, like, wasteful. You can't even wait for
but
it to go bad and feel like,
safe.
"Okay." I
Vodka's
mean,
so safe because you can
is
put it in a
it?
mixed drink and it's just not gonna matter.
Well,
You can have
sure.
some, you know,
I
you
mean,
load it up
sure.
with
Like, at some point, you can just mix it up, but
yeah, right. So then you have your categories. You have your stuff that's I'm gonna drink this, a little cleaner preparation, or I'm gonna dilute the hell out of it. So
true. True.
you got to go back there, Andrew, and get that Jason Momoa vodka. Go
Alright,
get
I'll tell y'all how it is.
it. Yeah, we need the review.
But, yeah, no, I mean, I saw it and was sort of, like, astonished that I hadn't seen any sort of promotional activity, you know?
I think I have actually.
You
Yeah,
have?
not like
Okay.
a TV commercial, but something on social media or something like that.
Sure, sure.
So.
Yeah, it was to me, it's just, like, one more example of, like, "Oh my god, there's so many celebrities out there just, like,
Mhm.
here's my new tequila." I feel like tequila is probably the most popular.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm just wondering if there's some sort of new like government program in Mexico and they're getting like connecting farmers with people,
with
investors
some
basically. Put your name on well, it's coming from here. It's just
this
there's
is
got to
like
be
the new
something like
version of,
that.
like, pen pals. It's like
Yeah.
celebrity tequila farmers.
Cuz it they're not like
Uh,
I'm guessing most of them are not buying property in Mexico and starting their own
sure,
farm. They have very
sure.
little connection. I
Yeah.
remember
It
Bethany Frankel trying to say that she had more of a hands-on thing when
Ye
she was bringing out different stuff. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are some celebrities that happens or it might make sense or whatever. But
Yeah,
there's just so many of them. It does. I would just have a hard time believing that all of them
right.
really were investing.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Well, speaking of investing, were you invested in the big game in our last holiday here?
I was. It started off so slow and then it turned into a great game of football. We even got overtime. Like they were really bringing it. They were bringing the drama. So kudos to the Chiefs and the Niners for finishing strong at yesterday's Super Bowl. Um,
Sure.
there's not a specific drink associated with the Super Bowl, but drinks are associated with the Super Bowl. Um,
Mhm.
it's definitely a time when most Americans imbibe some of the most alcohol. And today is like an unofficial holiday because so many people take off of work the day after the Super
Okay.
Bowl.
Okay.
I think it's actually been floated at the government level that they should make today a holiday of like a federal holiday. Um,
Sure.
just in like names of like safety, just
Hmm.
because so many people do so much drinking. Um, which I don't know, good and bad thing because you're kind of like sanctioning that much drinking and yet also like it might be safer. So
Yeah, I heard that,
anyway,
like, in Brazil, when they're playing, I don't know if it has to be a certain point in the season or whatever, but then every game, it's just like everything stops. People
sure,
just stay home. It is just an event. It's
sure,
just that's it. So,
yeah, yeah,
mm.
might be worth looking into because, like I said, this is a that Super Bowl is a day associated with a lot of drinking for good or for ill. So
That's what we need, Andrea. One more excuse for the mail to not be delivered. One more day. Because you know what the mail will do? They'll take the holiday and then it will be the next day is observed. It'll be next day it will be
oh,
also just
observed,
for
yes.
funsies, we need an extra one. So,
Mhm.
mhm,
Mm.
that's how
I've
that's gonna work.
never I've never really when I was little, I never really got that practice of, like, observed holiday.
Yeah, I don't. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
But
No.
mm.
But anyway, if you're a football fan of yesterday, you might have been drinking something in celebration of the Chiefs' overtime win over the 49ers.
How was the halftime show and how were the commercials?
Oh
I
my
didn't I
god.
the only thing I really saw, I happened to see that, "Oh, it's the 4th quarter. Oh, there's less than
Sure.
2 minutes left." Like, hey, so then I kinda waited to see, it's like, "Okay, went to overtime." That's
Yep.
that's all I saw.
Um, Usher killed it. That halftime
Okay,
show was so good. He was like I mean, he's just coming off of Vegas residency. I don't know for sure if that ended or is ending soon. Um, but he's obviously like, still got all the performance style, flair, skill. He's
sure.
got a lot of practice doing all of his dance moves and still like fully singing. And that was very evident. So kudos to Usher. He sounded amazing. He had like just a few costume changes that I think, weren't too distracting, but still like brought a little visual flair. Um,
Mhm.
he had a couple of logical and good guest stars in Alicia Keys, Ludacris, Lil Jon, her. I don't know if I'm missing somebody. Hopefully not. But yeah, everybody, like a lot of people he's collaborated with. So they were all like running through his hits, their hits. Fantastic
Cool.
job. Very good.
Nice.
Commercials, medium,
Okay.
medium. There were a couple of like really good spots. Um, Christopher Walken's commercial lands very close to the top for me.
Hmm. What was
It's a
he
lot of just like
advertising?
uh he was advertising a car. I do not remember which one.
Hmm.
But
So
it's
effective.
like but I know, right? But like it was like a bunch of people making fun of the way Christopher Walken talks.
Okay,
So,
okay.
and then he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was really funny. It was well done. Uh, I know this didn't hit for some people, but I really enjoyed Paramount Plus's ad with Patrick Stewart, like, trying to throw a football, like, he's, like, dressed in, like, old-timey, like, football gear, and he's trying to,
Mm.
like they're all stranded on a mountain, and for some reason, they have to throw a football at something to get off the mountain, but they can't find a football, so they use, the lead character from Hey Arnold because he has a football-shaped
Oh,
head.
oh,
And
okay,
he, like, tries to
okay.
make the throw, and it's epic, and Creed is playing in the background, and it's, like, weird and random, but hilarious.
You have to say that premise doesn't make any sense being
No, it doesn't
explored,
make
but,
any sense at all. I don't understand what they're doing, but it's very funny.
nice. Cool.
So, but yeah, there were a lot of like non-memorable or like eh commercials,
Right.
unfortunately.
Okay. Alright. One of these years, the commercials will be good again. One of these years.
Mhm.
Mhm. Well, things that are, good again. I mean, beef, you weren't, impressed with at first, but maybe now it's
Yes.
good?
Yes, I finished the series, loved it. It was amazing. The last couple of episodes just feature killer performances from Ali Wong and Steven Yeun. Um, they go on, like, this accidental drug trip, and not a lot happens, but they're just having, like, these amazing, bizarre conversations that are just like, the human emotion and connectivity behind them is so raw and real. I just really think they did an amazing job.
Great.
Just, like,
Cool.
top marks for acting. I am a little I'm a little excited by the news that they might be doing another season, but I'm
Hmm.
also a little confused because Beef basically just won a bunch of awards in the limited series category. So,
Hmm.
what happens if you become, like, a show?
Take
Do you
the
have to give
award
back all
away.
your
It's gone.
awards? Yeah.
Yep.
It's just do you have to, like, give that all back because it's
You
not true
said
anymore?
limited, I'm afraid.
I mean, I
Define
don't know what
limited.
happens. I know, I
Yeah.
don't know what happens. I don't know what the category definition is.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I'm sort of, like, excited about that and a little like, "Is that cheating? Did you cheat?"
Doesn't the premise sort of, like, use itself? It's like or,
Um,
would it be like every season is a new set of people and a new beef?
sure. Like a new, True Detective
Yeah,
where they have,
exactly.
like yeah. I think that they were saying they would continue with these 2 characters. I They have places that they could go, but the premise like, the show would definitely have to change from its,
Right.
like, core premise of them having beef because, like, spoilery, non-spoilers, they definitely make, like, a connection by the end where it would be
Mhm.
hard to see them just fall back into the back and forth, one-upping each other rhythm of the show. So I don't think that was
I mean,
necessarily a spoiler.
if it was Bleach, we would do it because it'd be, "Oh, Ichigo is so powerful, he becomes the most powerful thing ever." Next season, Ichigo is a wuss. Back to the beginning, square one. Yeah. No,
Well,
I
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I figured you have to have some sort of resolution, I guess, or one of them kills the other, I guess, but I didn't imagine that being the case, so
There's enough of a resolution where they could satisfyingly end it here, um, but there's enough of, like, an open door that you could push it a little wider and say, like, "Okay, we're past this initial phase, like, what next?" So,
okay. Okay, cool.
yeah, I would be interested to see it,
Beef.
but, yeah, I would be also interested to see what anybody might say about all those awards.
Yeah.
Um Something that I started, not finished, on Netflix, it's called My Happy Marriage. It was described as a supernatural Cinderella story,
Hmm,
and I was, like,
okay,
intrigued. 3 episodes in, I see like, background where they, like, got supernatural Cinderella, and now we're, like, diving into the meat of, like, okay, it's not just, like, this simplistic fairy tale, like, let's go forward. And I'm interested to see where
okay,
it goes. I like it so far.
okay, nice. Pretty recent then? Recent release?
Yes, it is a recent release. Woo.
Nice. Okay.
Let me see. Netflix. What do you got for me? I love on my computer. Apparently, a long, long time ago, I looked for a show called Midnight Texas. And now, like, every time I start to type in Netflix, it wants to default, "Do you wanna search for Midnight Texas?" Like,
Mm.
"No, I do not. I do not
Yeah,
care for this."
I understand. There was a thing for a while when I was using Android phones, and for whatever reason, Google got the idea that I loved, um, Dakota Johnson. I would just have everything in my Google feed every day would be a new, like, what Dakota Johnson's wearing, what she was spotted doing, it's like, I I I don't understand. Where did this come from? I mean, like, probably looked up who she was at one. Oh, yeah, she's
Sure,
Don Johnson's daughter, or
sure.
something. I guess that
That's
was
when you
enough.
know that's when you know the algorithm's gone off the rails where it's just like, "Oh, this one thing you did? Everything."
Mhm. I finally searched something that it wants me to look at, and so it's like, "You did it once, now we're giving it to you because we want you to see
Right?
this for X reason."
"We will wear you down. You will
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
her." Um, My Happy Marriage is 2023, and it is 12 episodes.
Okay. Alright.
So,
Nice.
I'm a quarter of the way in.
Yeah. Nice. Well, speaking of, the somewhat paranormal, I have to say I watched, Project Fear this last week, and there is a new episode out now from Friday. They just came back. They were on a break in between seasons or whatever. And this is like a reality ghost hunting show. So if you're into that kind of thing,
Mhm.
it's just again free on YouTube. For anyone that doesn't know, it's like it was a show on Discovery called Destination Fear, and then it didn't get renewed, and they
Oh,
just
yeah.
crowdfunded and then raised a whole bunch of money and just started doing it themselves. And they
Sure.
kind of did everything themselves anyways in the other show, so
Mhm.
they didn't lose a step, it's just
Sure.
it's the show, a little different name. So the first 2 episodes, they are at the Conjuring house. So
Mm,
that's where the
nice.
Conjuring stuff was inspired by and all that.
Good
So yeah.
movies.
Project Fear, if you're into that kind of thing, they're one of the good shows, one of the good ghost shows. Um, just looking at my list, I realized I started the movie Warrior, and right this moment remembered that I started the movie Warrior, um, and didn't finish it. It's really good. I just was forgot I couldn't sleep after martial arts one night and started it on like my iPad or whatever, and just kind of sucked me in, and I ended up watching half of it. And so I will. This was off Mike's recommendation a few weeks
Yeah,
ago, and
2011 with Tom Hardy?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, 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 okay.
So
Yep.
it's yeah, it's really good so far. I'll try to finish that and give my full review. Um, it's been a few games I've been playing this week. I've been trying to play Persona 3 Reload, which is on Game Pass, and there's a new remake of Persona 3 from back in the
Mhm.
day. It's quite a bit older, and this is a totally fresh kind of paint. Looks great. Um, but in the middle of this, I decided to upgrade my computer, and took a while. It's missing a couple parts, blah blah blah, and then I finally started to play this, and then it kept crashing on me. The game kept crashing.
Mm.
So Alan's given me a few recommendations. I haven't had the time to implement yet. So far tonight, I meant to caveat that too. Is like if I just disappear, computer maybe just shut off. But it's been good so far. So hopefully that's turned around, and then I can get back to some of the computer games, Persona
Sure.
3 Reload, Lethal Company, and Pal World. So, but that's a lot of games to squeeze in.
You said Pal World. Did Tony appear?
Tony or Mike? No, no. Tony did make a sign I saw in the game though that's like has some sort of like pal creature tied up kind of thing, and then there's signs. It says like you are replaceable. Get back to work because he just has all his pals, working to the bone.
That's good. That's
Um,
good.
so yeah, I in my frustration, I just want to play a game. So I
Mm.
delved back into Horizon Forbidden West a little bit more again. Just one of these days will be the time that I sit down and like just keep going through that. But I got brushed up on like my play of it a little bit. Actually
Sure.
got a few things accomplished. Took way too many screenshots and got some good phone wallpapers.
No.
Yeah, yeah. I posted a few of them on X. I will put a few more up over the following days or whatever. And so there's that. And then on our Gamecast on the Rocks channel, I made some shorts for it too. So a
Excellent.
little bit of content from that. And then the last thing I want to talk about, I was gonna cover 3 of these, just gonna cover 2. Graveyard Shift,
Mm.
volume 1 and 2. So this is a
Interesting.
collected graphic novel version of this independent comic book. So it is by John Malin and Mark Polton. And the idea of this book is basically, I'm not going to give you spoilers. It's essentially that there is this company and it's kind of run by Van Helsing, and there's experiments done on these different scientists and stuff, and a bunch of them become monsters. So it's sort of a reversal where Van Helsing, he is against the monsters, but the monsters are the good guys in the situation. Van
Mm.
Helsing's kind of taking over and running the show and like doing some bad things to humanity and everything. And the monsters he essentially created are going to try to stop him, kind of team up and try
Okay.
to stop him. So there's like a vampire, and so the artist for this is John Malin, and he is like, to my understanding, kind of a protege of a really famous Cable, Deadpool, X Force artist. So he's kind of under the tutelage of him in a sense. And so I am a big fan
Mm.
of John Malin's art. And to me, over the years, it's only gotten better. So I have, this is volume 1 and 2. I did read the supplemental. I'll have to review that later. But then there is also a couple more supplementals and then like 3, 4 other volumes. So there's quite a bit for me to read yet. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really expanding kind of universe. And Malin does what I like in terms of striking that balance between comic booky and realistic. It's
Mm-hmm.
not realistic. It's a little more stylized, but let's see if I can find a couple other good pictures here. So like here's Van Helsing in this book, guy on the
Mm.
podium. So
Okay.
it's in modern day, modern day. Um, got a couple more examples.
Creepy.
So, anyways, it was a good read. A little different take on the whole Helsing and the monsters he's after kind of story. Look at this big double page spread. I think that's pretty cool.
I like that.
So yeah, a lot of potential with the different characters. Some of them, again, the kind of dealing with the monster they become and how do I cope with that, you know? And
So are these monsters like formerly human and have become
yes,
like twisted?
yes,
Okay.
yep,
All right. Okay.
yep.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's a good like turning that into a kind of superhero team kind of story. So
Hmm.
thumbs up. I'm excited to keep reading. Um, it's been well paced. It looks good. Yeah, I'd like a little more. I don't know. I want to be emotionally invested a little more in some of the characters. There's some attempts
Mhm.
here, there's things happening, but I'd like more of that, I guess. So if I have a
In some of the
critique.
monsters or
Yeah, just
other
in the
periphery
team, like
characters?
I'm supposed to care. I don't necessarily care about them yet.
Okay. All right.
I need to care about the team more. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's Graveyard Shift Volume 1 and 2. Um, that's what I've been up to. something that has a lot more than 2 volumes, and some would say needs many more to reach completion, would be
Mm-hmm.
the fantasy works of George R. R. Martin. Um, Andrea, how much of the Game of Thrones novels have you read?
All of them.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How many
It's
is
been a
that?
while,
Like
but all
4?
of them.
Is it 4
Yes.
of the main Song of Fire and Ice sort of stuff?
Yes.
Okay. I will believe you because I don't know.
Oh, now I gotta look. Game of Thrones books. 5. There are 5.
Okay. All right. All
Because
right.
Winds of Winter
So
is 6, and that's coming out.
that's coming out, she says.
I didn't say when.
Yeah, I don't
It
think
could
it's
be coming
happening.
out posthumously. I don't know.
I think that'd be the only way, honestly, at this point, is that whoever, if he like hands it off to someone or something like that, it's in the will, whatever. I don't know
It's
how that
literally
happens.
been since 2011. That was Dance with Dragons.
Yeah, it's not happening. It's not
Like
happening.
13 years, yo.
So I'll take another sip of my Game of Thrones whiskey here,
George R.
and then
R.
then we can talk a little bit about the man George R. R. Martin here. So he's been in the news for a few different things. One of them being the first thing that came up that I saw was kind of comments about fans and about
Mhm.
everybody like kind of hating everything and some toxicity and some of that. I don't know if he was specifically talking about comments towards his works or
Mhm.
not. I really don't know. I didn't care
Sure.
very much. I didn't particularly look into it. Just like another person that to me, when I hear that, I'm like, well, they're dismissive of criticism. That's the way I see it. It's like, um, doesn't have to be the case, but usually it seems to be like people can't handle the critiques, especially when it's like a pile-on of a whole bunch of people online. Some of it but like that's what you got to do. You're gonna have to sit there and like judge what's valid and what's
Mhm.
invalid, and
Yeah.
just take it. Then you got to just take it. You can't, come out here and call people names because they don't like your thing.
Yeah, I mean, true enough on both sides.
Hmm.
I don't know what specifically he's referring to, if there's, like, some sort of, like, directed
Right.
commentary at something of his that he's, like, upset about. So yes, I mean, if he's referring to, like, a general pile-on of, like, "Where is your book?" and, like, "Stop writing television shows, please write your book," then, yeah, dude, you gotta take that. Um Or, if people are saying, "Boy, remember the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones were terrible?" Yeah, that's some valid criticism. Um,
Hmm.
so I mean, you can't come out swinging calling people names, but yes, also, I think you can expect or at least hope for anybody who wants to, like, genuinely critique or have valid discussion about your work to do the same and not just, like, throw names at you.
Right.
Like, you know if you wanna be taken seriously on either side, then don't resort to that.
Yep.
Don't I
Yeah.
mean, like, why would anybody listen to you then?
Right. Yeah. No, it's definitely a way to approach it. I found his quote here, which,
Mm,
is pretty. I think a lot of people can agree with this. I have, it- I'll read it.
okay.
Quote, well, I take solace where I can in chocolate thrones, if nowhere else, in books, in films and television shows, though even there, toxicity is growing. It used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films and having spirited debates with fans who saw things different. But somehow, in this age of social media, it is no longer enough to say, I did not like book X or film Y, and here's why. Now, social media is ruled by anti fans who would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love, and delight in
Mm,
dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped.
mm. I mean, I get that in a broad sense. Like, it would be nice if social media did talk about more about what they love. Like, I like to see polls um from sites that are like top 10 anime or like favorite book of the year, favorite what's your favorite X film? Like, that's more fun than like I hate everything, or like, oh, another thing sucks. Like, it is easy to get on a roll of like criticism and get kind of in that negative spiral. It is harder to, I think, project pure unadulterated joy about something because there are people ready to like just say all the things they don't like about something, but you can't let that prevent you from still feeling that joy.
Right.
Or, I mean, I would hope expressing it. It might feel fragile, it might feel vulnerable to do so, but yeah, if you love something, go shout it out.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's internet's definitely changed things, and like before you would watch something or whatever, and your sort of pocket for understanding of how people receive it is just sort of the people around you.
Sure.
And in the last couple decades now, it's grown to, well, you might hear thousands of voices or millions of voices coming back at you with a different opinion, and
Mhm.
so um that's fine, but it changes your perspective. The other thing I'd say is like I think a lot of people can agree it used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films and having spirited debates. That's
Mhm.
true, but the way that what that hinged on, in my opinion, was that the people still liked the thing. They
Mhm.
just wish it would have gone this direction instead of that direction, or this
Mhm.
made sense here and not that, like, but they
Mhm.
still loved and enjoyed the thing. It's just we
Mhm.
can disagree on the minutia. And
Yeah,
some of the biggest debates are people that are both fans of the same thing, but disagree a lot, but they in the end of the day, they still love it.
they love
We've
it,
reached a
yeah.
point now where so many the all the big things that got hotly debated like that and discussed, kind of our pop culture things, have, in my perspective, mostly been ruined. So like it wasn't the case where like, oh, this movie was less than good. I would have liked it to do this instead, but I still enjoyed it. I'm still excited for the next one. It's no, that
Mhm.
was awful. You wrecked everything that this thing meant and stood for. So
Mhm.
now, like, now you divide people in that sense. Some people are like, they still see something there that they enjoy, and then other people are just kind of out or angry that you took this thing that maybe they invested many years in and
Mhm.
wrecked it. We just didn't used to. I don't know if it's a changing standard. We've talked about that some on here, like how Marvel themselves raised the bar for comic book movie adaptations in some sense, and then failed to live up to it, and many others failed to live up to it. Or if
Mhm.
it's a just they're doing worse at handling all the things. I think it's some of both.
Sure.
So I get it can feel like people rejoice in something flopping, but I do rejoice in something flopping if I feel like they didn't mean to do the property justice. You
Mhm.
know, Witcher, they clearly decided to go a different route. Good. Let the show die. The Halo television show spit on every Halo fan from season 1, episode 1. So let the show, yes, I will rejoice when that show bombs and dies a painful death. All these things, but that's not me like being hateful. I just look, you didn't put forth the effort to try to make something worthy of the property. So you
Mhm.
deserve for your thing to end. That's all
Mhm.
it is.
Mhm. I'm thinking. Like,
Yeah, no, that's
I don't
fine.
disagree. No, I don't disagree with you because, I mean, there's certainly things out there that make me upset as a fan that I can, I probably not quite as often, but can work myself in a rant about. I mean, we've obviously probably beat the DC world organization horse to
Right.
death. I mean, it's an easy
Mm,
target. So yeah, I mean, I'm obviously guilty of like coming back to something to like re-express my disappointment, my anger, or, not hatred because I don't actively put the time into hating them, but my disappointment.
mhm,
And maybe it's just like, that I need to stop, or, others need to stop giving that their time and energy.
mhm.
You say your piece about it, and with every new thing, you don't have to come back to it.
Yep, yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's how
It's
you
hard
it's
not to, because there's so
it
much content, and like these places are just like churning it out, and I get that it like keeps the disappointment fresh. But yeah, maybe we all need to like collectively stop and say like, man, if we still hate it, like we don't need to say it again. We just let it die.
Yep. Yeah, no, everybody's gonna have, depending on their fandom level, have their point of reaching apathy. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I just literally the time has gone by. I've healed. The wounds have healed. It just doesn't matter to me anymore. But when you
Yep.
bring it up, you can bring it up and it's still like, wow, that was
Yeah.
incredible, the failure or whatever, so you can
Yeah.
still,
It's like a
but it's
flare up.
not, yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
like a
like
chronic
PTSD.
disease with a flare up.
Yeah. It's just it's how you handle it, if
Mhm.
it you always see crazy people with everything where their response is to go tell people to die, it's like the
Yes.
insane, and how much of it is people that mean it, how much of it is kids that just don't have any sort of balance yet in their
Right.
emotional handling of things, whatever,
Or bots.
always going to be that stuff.
Mhm.
But, reasoned arguments for disappointment or hatred of something that you used to like, I just think is overall a good thing. But yeah, if it's
Mhm.
dominating your time, like I don't sit I've Darth Vader back here. I don't sit and think
Mhm.
daily about how
Right.
Star Wars has gone down the tube, it's
Right.
just like
Post on
when
X
it
about it
comes,
all the time.
yeah, when it
2
comes
AM
up
John
and when it's
wakes
a
up.
new thing,
Ah!
you move on or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but then like Ewan McGregor comes out and is begging for a season 2 of Kenobi, and I'm like, then I think about it again. It's like, I hope it happens. Waste more money, please. So, yeah,
Ah,
waste more
Kenobi
money, please.
Kenobi was a weird it was a lot around the map. Like, there were high points and some low points. Um, I don't know what I would do with a season 2. I don't know.
I mean, make Obi-Wan Kenobi look more pathetic. I think that's what they should do in season 2. Like, he can look more pathetic somehow.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Let Luke down some more, abandon him, I think, probably.
It's well, we could go on a whole separate, like, you know, Luke letting other people down, and the characterization of that destruction.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
so like the ripple effects.
there
Yeah,
you
it's
go.
I don't know. It's hard. There were some really cool moments in Kenobi, but they came at the expense of some solid storytelling. So that's the unfortunate part. I wish I could have kept the cool moments and not had them destroy like a really great story.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
don't
I
know how
mean,
you do that.
lots of things can have cool, I mean, look, our most popular video, the John Wick 4 special, it's, John Wick 4 had a lot of cool moments. A lot of
Mhm.
cool moments that I would like a hypercut of. Just watch them all. But it doesn't amount to a good movie. Unfortunately,
Well,
the pieces do not make a good movie.
and I think that's different than like going back and destroying or like poking holes in something else.
Oh,
Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
absolutely, absolutely, it's way
something
less
yeah.
worse.
Yeah,
Yes,
like it can
absolutely.
absolutely just like not amount to a good plot or a good story, character arc, any facet of storytelling that you really want to delve into. But yeah, Kenobi definitely takes away something pretty major from the OG Star Wars films,
Yeah.
and it's sad because yeah, it's
Mhm.
just amazing. It's amazing, like, emotional storytelling, but is it worth the price of, like, sitting there going, "This logically doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
You're just doing this because it's cool." It is
Yeah.
cool, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
The next bit of George R. Martin news was that they're making another spinoff. They're
Yes,
making
mhm.
another
A
Game of
prequel
Thrones
to the
spinoff.
prequel.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep going backwards.
I know, right? All else fails, move backwards in time.
Mhm, mhm. So, what do you think of this? You have, like, I mean, it's telling about the tale of the Targaryens conquering
Yes.
Westeros, yes? So,
Yes. Yes, Aegon the Conqueror. Um,
mhm.
I don't need this right now.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be oversaturation of Targaryens. I like House of the Dragon. Just be glad that this is a great show and focus your energy on that. Stop splintering. Like, why? Why do you need to do that?
Yeah, sure. I
I
mean,
don't know.
if you're gonna keep going, you need to, you need to get production rolling so you don't
Yep.
have too big of a delay, so I get that, and
I
I
feel
don't
like one really great season isn't enough to take the, you know, the
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 burn.
roiling I mean, yeah, the burn off of the disappointment of the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. Like, people are still sort of like, "Okay, so you made 1 good season of House of the Dragon, like, can you do it again?" Do you know what I mean? Like,
Andrea, you're
it
such a
hasn't
toxic fan. What look,
I know,
maybe
I
some people love the end of Game of Thrones, okay? It's great.
know.
It's great, Andrea. Think of all the people that
It
worked
is
really hard.
objectively not. Oh, no. I can't. No, I will not entertain that. It is objectively not great. Ugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
no, I truly feel like you can't rest all your laurels on the fact that, like, you had one really great season, and it was good. I was so pleasantly surprised because I was terrified as everybody else that it wasn't gonna be good. It was. Build on that. Don't
sure,
splinter your focus now and then produce 2 mediocre seasons
sure.
of
Yeah.
2 different shows.
No, it'd be nice to see it, yeah, come to completion, and then we focus on the next thing. That would be nice.
Mhm.
So, but we have that to look forward to, and season 2 of Hot D is supposed to come out this year, so
Yes, Hot D. I forgot that charming
it's the
nickname.
best. Mhm.
It really is.
Okay, the other thing that was brought to my attention is another quote by George R. R. Martin,
Mm,
and, I like I'm interested in both his quote, and then I thought a pretty interesting kind of takedown of that quote from a
mhm,
person on X. So
mhm,
bear with me, I'll read both things.
mhm,
George R. R. Martin. Tolkien can say that Aragorn became king and reigned for 100 years and he was wise and good. But Tolkien doesn't ask the question, what was Aragorn's tax policy? Did he maintain a standing army? What did he do in times of flood and famine? And what about all these orcs? By the end of the war, Sauron is gone, but all the orcs aren't gone. They're in the mountains. Did Aragorn pursue a policy of systematic genocide and kill them, even the little baby orcs in their little orc cradles? So that's the quote. George R. R. Martin having a few things to say about um, our uh, our good wise old Tolkien here.
mhm.
Um, and then Thor Odinson on X says Martin can say that Tolkien didn't write about all the endless minutia of Aragorn's reign and after he was crowned king, and that he just brushed over what came after. But Martin doesn't ask the question, "What the fuck am I doing with my time? Did I make good use of the past few years, especially the lockdowns, to finish my books. When I wrote all my endless plots, Robb Stark's Will, The Northern Conspiracy, Aegon's Invasion, the Marinese Knot, did I have an end game in mind for all of them, some of them, or even any of them? Or did I throw them into the books with no idea where they were going to go? Did I really need to kill so many characters, or did I chase shock value over story and fuck myself along the way by doing so? Should I have spent less time criticizing a classic which shaped the genre written by a man who's already been dead for decades, or should I have spent more time finishing my own series? And I have considered the possibility that my readers haven't waited 13 years for the next book just to find out the tax policies of the Seven Kingdoms. So I thought that was pretty a good retort. What say
I
you?
do like I do like the end there. We haven't waited 13 years to find out the tax policy of the Seven Kingdoms. I would very much agree with that. That is not what I want to know. Um
What do you want to know?
so many things. So I'll start with Martin's, you know, critique. Um yeah, I'm going to say most of that is irrelevant to Tolkien. Like, that's not the
Sure.
point. Like, I don't need to know about Aragorn's tax policy or what he did in case of famine and flood. Like, that is super not the point. The only interesting nugget he threw out there was like, all those orcs are still there. Yeah, you could have written about like what happened. Like, did people get to go back to their homes or were there orcs in the way? Were there still small skirmishes that broke out? Did they, you know, go back into the ruins of Mordor and try to like eke a living out of whatever land was there. You know, sure, could you have written something about that and I might have found that like a interesting aside or paragraph? Sure. Everything else, no thanks. Like that was not the point. And
Hmm.
that's not even like the way that Tolkien wrote. So you're trying to insert like your own fixation on detail into like Tolkien's writing style. So no, your criticism I don't think holds water there.
Hmm.
To the retort or the response or reply, however you want to characterize it. Yeah. Um, I don't think that Martin spent his time wisely. I do think and he's admitted himself that he never intended to create so many characters and so many different chapters with like different points of view about different storylines, and it did spin out of his control. He was like, the characters just took on these lives that I just had to write about all these disparate things. And I don't think that there was, for good or ill, resolutions that he had in mind for everything.
Right.
Hopefully, you know, as a fan, I hope he had resolutions in mind for some things that he is getting to. Obviously, I don't have his new books, so I can't say for certain. Um, But the only thing I would maybe, like, push back on there is, the did you spend your time wisely or did you spend your time thinking about Tolkien? I don't think he really spent a whole lot of, like, the lockdown
Sure.
years thinking about Tolkien and, like, crafting that argument. So,
Yeah.
yes, maybe, like, don't go after Tolkien and also, like, no, he didn't spend 3 years of the COVID lockdown just thinking of that,
He spent it
quote.
thinking about maybe what he can do in the Elden Ring world. And what other
Yes,
spin-offs can I
he's
propose to
I
HBO?
mean,
And
he obviously has been busy, it's just not busy on the things we would all really like him to be
mm,
busy with. But
yeah,
no, I don't think he was busy thinking about, like, "Why didn't Tolkien write about text code?" I think he said that
I
pretty off the cuff.
yeah, right.
Just as,
I
like, an
wonder.
example of, like, I think about all these details, like, it matters to me. He's trying to, like, I don't know, probably BS his way into, like, another excuse why his book is delayed,
Mm.
which
I mean, I
whatever.
wonder if it's part of the impetus for him create. I mean, I really don't know. I haven't like listened to him talk about it a whole bunch, but for creating this series to begin with, if you have like a fundamental like some people in this day and age have an issue with like a simple story in the sense of like good versus evil. I don't remember when we kind of made the switch where we couldn't have like black and white. There couldn't be just a bad
Mhm.
guy that wanted to wreck things. You know, it had to be everyone's gray. And then it started to switch to like, no, we're actually the main stars of movies are the villains and we need to empathize
Anti-heroes,
with
yeah.
them. Yeah. And it just sort of like kind of a fundamental, I don't know what the term is for it, but like
Yeah,
there's a
everybody needs to be complicated. Nobody can
yeah,
just, exist as like this, I don't know, distilled essence of a character trait. They need to be multifaceted. They need to be
yeah,
fleshed out. And I would say most of the time that seems like a good thing, but yeah, you can get bogged down in making everybody sympathetic and everybody interesting
right.
because can you move a story along if you're always switching like who to empathize for and like, no,
Mhm,
no, no, I really want to explain this person so that you understand.
right. I wish I could find the other
Sorry,
comment
I
about
cut you off
this.
there.
No, that's fine. I that, was kind of talking about, like, George R. R. Martin's sort of nihilistic worldview, they
Yes.
thought, and it's sort of idea that, you know, Tolkien has an idea of setting up, a good versus evil, creating a legend and mythology for
Mhm,
England. And something like this was good at the time and will be remembered and understood. The themes will be understood and will resonate with people for many centuries to come. Won't matter the time. Whereas, like maybe part of Martin's issue is he doesn't have a point. There isn't a point. Is there a point to his story? Like, is
mhm,
there a meaning behind it other than like it's all meaningless? Like,
mhm,
whatever you do, you know, corruption will be rampant and destroy your heroes. Your
mhm,
heroes won't be there to save you. It's all for naught. Is that the end? Like, how do you resolve that? How do you make that satisfying? How do you build all this stuff? And how do you balance them, creating a satisfying conclusion and narrative? Meanwhile, telling people you'll have no satisfying conclusion to this
mhm,
narrative, like, because
mhm,
that's life. And I'm going to tell you what I see as reality.
yeah, mhm. Well, to that, I would say he's probably not concerned with having a satisfying conclusion. I hope on some level he's concerned with having a conclusion and bringing some stories to a close. But yeah, satisfaction, I don't think has ever been his aim. So if we're all hoping for that,
Isn't
we're
it
going to
going to
be
kind of
sadly
feel
disappointed.
hollow then? If it gets done and you've read thousands of pages over the course of decades at this point, then
Mhm,
we'd be like, what was that for? What did I get out of it? Other than like literal bloodshed, violence,
mhm.
death, you know, like what did
Maybe it's the journey, not the destination.
I guess.
I don't know.
I
I
guess
don't know.
so. Yeah.
I don't
Uh,
know. I mean, I truly don't know. I think, yeah, I just gotta hope that there's resolution. It may not be what I wanted. It may not be what anyone wanted, or you know, maybe Martin will surprise us all. But I hope there is
yeah.
resolution.
Okay. Well, we shall see what happens.
Yes.
Waiting anxiously. Hold your breath. Go. Um, I
And
am the other thing
then
I am
the next
holding my
the next book will be published posthumously. It'll just be me. It'll
for you
just be my
too. Yeah.
death.
Ugh. The next thing I wanted to touch on quickly that I am
Yeah.
holding my breath for is the Xbox event. So again, if you missed me kind of going off about it a little bit on last week's episode of the Ohio podcast, go ahead and check that out at the very end. Otherwise, just an update. So Xbox community has been in turmoil.
Mhm.
It's a lot to explain, but basically they've announced that they're going to do a business update this week. They announced that last week, and it's going to be on Thursday. And it's going to be done on their Xbox podcast. So you can just listen to the Xbox podcast. You're going to have Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty on there to clarify quote unquote, clarify the future of Xbox and where the company's headed. There was the bigger update was, besides the date of that coming out, is there was an internal town hall for Xbox employees last week where Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond addressed their employees. And the executives reassured employees that Xbox hardware would continue. They didn't directly address the elephant in the room, those persistent rumors about Xbox exclusives coming to Nintendo Switch and PS5. So that's from The Verge. It's from The Verge. And so what that means is the games are coming to Nintendo Switch and PS5. If they're just telling their internal team, we're going to keep making hardware. So if you're worried about the hardware being done, don't worry about that. We're going to bring but we are going to bring games elsewhere. Have you seen any of this pop up in other news or in circle things you follow or anything like that?
Yes, I've seen some of this pop up, and I've seen the disappointment expressed at the notion that, all these games are going elsewhere. I just giggle a little bit because it seems silly to have that sort of internal town hall and not address the bigger of the two issues.
Yeah.
It's like having a burning building, but like the vending machine's broken, and they're like, "Don't worry, we fixed the vending machine."
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, mild concern, but
Right.
really, the house is on fire. So, how about that?
This is a niche community kind of issue. Like the gaming community at large is not going to know about this or particularly care about this or anything like that. It's so I'm aware of like the bubble that this news and stuff exists in. Because I am more aware of that because it took me a while to explain this to my friends, like what the deal was or why there's an issue. Oh, hey, Pupperoos.
Special guest star.
Yeah. Hey, what's your take on Xbox? In the gaming world at large.
Right. She has opinions.
Yeah, I'm sure. But Netflix, when they make Stranger Things, they don't then give Stranger Things to Paramount Plus.
Right.
They don't say, oh, this the latest Great British Baking Show. Let's put that on CBS and also on Max.
Right.
If they did that with all their shows and you really liked some other streaming service, why would you pay for Netflix? You're like, well, the Netflix shows that I like are going to be coming to the service that I already have. That's great. Let's do that. Netflix is a little different position because Netflix is the top dog. So maybe it would have been a better example to be like, oh, the show from Paramount Plus, they don't put it on Netflix, the other way around,
Right. I mean, yeah, in this scenario, I just feel like let's all go back to cable TV and just like,
Yeah.
get our smash up of everything being available once you pay for cable TV. Because good God. But yeah, no, I mean, that's the point.
Yeah.
If you make everything available everywhere, why do you stay here?
Yeah. So look, they're going to come out there. It's going to be really interesting on Thursday what they say. I think there'll still be questions and confusion. I don't think there's actually going to be clarity. They're going to keep making consoles and people are going to keep not buying them because they already have a branding issue. They don't market themselves anywhere outside of the United States. Basically, people aren't aware much of what Game Pass is, and they're going to not selling their hardware, and then they're going to make a reevaluation in a few years that this isn't working either because shocker, all your games are available to play someplace else where there are other exclusive games, or they can get in at a cheaper price point, or there's already brand loyalty or whatever.
Mhm.
and you're done. I mean, Microsoft won't be done. They're the biggest company in the world. They're going to be absolutely fine. They're going to make a killing selling games all over the place. But if you are an Xbox user, have been, like the hardware, have thousands of dollars worth of games in your library,
Mhm.
if it was me, unless something weird happens on Thursday, I wouldn't buy anything from them anymore.
Mhm.
You know, if you have the system, you have PC and you have the subscription service, well, if it's still good, you know, and you just have games you like, all this stuff's fine. You can obviously you can play your old games, all this stuff. But if it was me, I would be like, I don't see a future for them as a platform holder, whether they think they'll be there or not. They might
Mhm.
think that we're doing this and we're going to be a platform holder, but I'm telling them they're not going to be if the
Mhm.
rumors are true. They won't be for long because they just it's the same thing like they wanted to bolster their Xbox store on PC. People aren't doing that. They're still just buying games on Steam. Heck,
Mhm.
Epic was one of the biggest games in the world. They have their own launcher. People aren't buying games on there either. You know, they use Steam. You can't just get people to move, and you're really not going to get people to move when they can just get your shit everywhere else. So
Mhm.
reality break, you know, reality check for you, Microsoft. You're going down. Your hardware is not happening. You're gonna make it, and no one's. It will only be like one more generation worth because Microsoft isn't gonna foot your bill if you're not making enough money for them. They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna be like, hey, we value this entry point in the market in the consumer space because we have zero other presence in the consumer market. We value this, so we're gonna keep it around. Like, no, it's not making enough. So it's
Mhm.
gone. Get out of here. That's my take. My preemptive take before Thursday. We'll see.
Before
You know, we'll
Thursday.
see.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna believe. I don't know if I'm gonna believe they're trying to wooed me. You know, I'm not gonna believe it. So
Yeah, obviously nobody knows what they're gonna say
yeah.
except, them. Um, so we'll see. But yeah, I get that. I
Yeah.
mean, I take your point.
Mhm.
Like, why show loyalty to something that hasn't shown loyalty to you?
Yeah. They it's gonna be interesting. The gaming world is really gonna be something. It's an interesting thing because it's like bigger than movies and music. Gaming is just huge,
Mm,
but it requires participation like TVs and music and movies don't. So it's just never like how far can it grow? Like everybody
mhm,
wants like everyone on the planet to be a gamer. There's some people that just won't because it requires you to it's like some people just won't read a lot of books because you
mhm.
have to do something.
You
You
have to
can't
engage.
just sit to consume it. So
Mhm,
there's a limit. And I don't know, it's just going to be interesting to see where gaming goes, how it grows, how it doesn't, and what role Microsoft has in it. So, yeah. That's my part two of my Xbox rant. Everybody should go over to Windows Central and read Jez Gordon's article about Microsoft. Kind of, it was amazing. The day after I made my rant, I read this article from Jez that's just like preaching to the choir about all the things and the way Microsoft handles this stuff. So, uh, yeah, I recommend that strongly. All right. Speaking of strongly, got to keep my strong drink going down while we talk about some maybe strong performances by two very well-known leading men in the movie Face Off, right? 1997,
Yes.
Nicolas Cage, John Travolta. Yeah.
Big names, big film, a lengthy film,
Yeah.
big
Yeah. Not
action, simple storyline,
mhm.
but like a
Mhm.
big roll of the dice on believability of this premise. You have to really let your I mean, seriously, you really have to let yourself just let it go and get in
Mhm.
there
Yes.
because yeah, the technicality and the details of the premise are a little bit squishy. But if you
I
just let
was
yourself roll with it, you know, this
Mhm.
this is really 2, I think, very masterful performances from these 2 actors because they are not only acting as each other, they are acting as each other's characters that get a grand total of prior to the switch, like what, 10, 15 minutes of
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
That is
Must be
a
15 minutes, yeah.
short amount of time to establish specific character actions, mannerisms that we as an audience can connect to and associate enough to like when they switch over be like, "Oh, that's a thing that only that character would do."
Mhm.
So, to make that strong enough in the initial character standing and then make it strong again in the switch. Well done.
Yeah. I I agree, but I think to me, John Travolta really nailed it. To me, John Travolta was this like the way
Yes.
he transforms to me is really great because he's this like stressed dad,
Mhm.
coming home or whatever. And then next time he comes home and he's switched just a complete yeah, I'm, like, back in Pulp Fiction world, like, a just
Yeah.
totally different, like, bad John Travolta,
Mhm.
and it made me wish he was in more stuff recently that was
Mhm.
really good because John Travolta's charismatic dude, and I just really
Yes.
appreciate his performance in this.
So, I will travel along this road with you. John Travolta has the far more charismatic performance. I also think he has the easier job because Nick Cage sets up Castor Troy with a lot of like flair and personality and mannerisms that
Yes,
Travolta takes, but
right.
then, brings his own style to his own charisma, and it is magnetic to watch. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Nick Cage has the way harder task, I think, of transforming from this very flamboyant and
Yeah,
larger than life personality into how do you embody stressed dad, agent, the
yeah.
tension of I'm on a mission that has gone horribly wrong.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't have a lot of like e a lot of outward emotion and a lot of capacity to show that. It's a lot
Yep,
of internal work.
yep.
So,
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
agree. Alan
his
brings up
performance
it
isn't as mesmerizing, but I think it's really difficult to do.
Mhm. Alan mentions he's not sure if we've said the name of the movie, and I was wondering that.
Oh.
But just if anyone's still confused, it is Face Off from
It is Face
1997.
Off. It is a very
Mhm.
literal title. Your face will
Yeah.
come off.
So and you're talking about the kind of leaps you have to make to accept the premise. I
You do.
definitely there, but I thought they handled it pretty well. Travolta's like,
Pretty
"No
well.
way, this is crazy." Didn't believe. He's like, "What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense." And proceed like I thought the procedure and all that stuff worked pretty good. I think the weak parts were, oh, we'll just like lipo off some of the extra weight, and like their bone structure and everything's so different. It's like I get putting the face on, but their faces are really different.
So that's what I'm talking about. They were very incredibly detailed and specific in some things, and some things they
Mhm.
just brushed over. Like, they were like, "Oh, we'll give you body hair plugs." And I was like, "Wow, the level of detail they're going to. Like, they're not just considering the face." And then they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll shave off those love handles. Oh, the height
Yeah.
difference is negligible." Yeah,
Right.
no. You can't tell me, like, Travolta's bone structure, his face is so wide, and you are just proving that on all these, like, super tight close-ups.
Mhm.
Your body structure is too different.
Nick Cage
So,
has a
yeah,
pointy
so,
nose or whatever, and yeah.
like, he's got such, like, a thin, angular face at this point, and Travolta, he's, like, all jawbone out. It
Mhm.
doesn't work. But, yeah, so that's why I say you really have to, like, roll the dice on the premise because they are so specific and so detailed in a way that makes you go, "Huh, okay," and then just gloss over
Yeah.
some other stuff like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter.
I made a comment because this is directed by John Woo, who does
Yes.
the second Mission Impossible movie, and this movie
Yes.
definitely I was like, can we just talk to the IMF? You know, maybe get some
Yes.
their masks and just not
Put
this
some of their, like,
process.
voice tape, please, instead
Yeah.
of this, like, weirdo microphone that you can't, like, sneeze or it'll dislodge, but you could have, like, a full gunfight and just be like, "Cool, yeah."
Yeah. See, that was to me one of the weakest points. One of the biggest things, like I thought they said it was delicate. If it was delicate, you just break that and be like, look at my voice. It's clearly, you know, I
It's
don't know.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he said that we can't escape the body hair talk.
We
Yeah.
can't there was such, like, a strong focus in that, very emotional scene between Travolta and, Joan Allen, but it was just all about the body hair.
Mhm.
And I thought maybe this was gonna be a way that she was gonna recognize him later, but no, it came back
I
in a
know.
different way.
Yeah.
So,
There was a few
I
times
guess
I wrote down, I was like, oh, coming up with the things where they're gonna
yeah,
notice this,
right.
but we really didn't have a lot of that. It's like
No,
fake outs.
everybody seemed, like, nice and fooled, and we never got the, like, prove you're, whoever you
Yeah.
say you are beyond just, like, reciting facts. It was never,
Yep.
like, about physicality.
Yep. So I thought it was interesting all the like different spy movie connections here. There's just
Mhm.
like so John Powell does the music. He does the music for the Jason Bourne movies, and Joan
Mm.
Allen is in this and also in the Bourne movies.
Boring,
So
yeah,
that
for sure.
was interesting. And then, as I mentioned, like okay, trading faces, pretending you're to someone else. That's a very Mission Impossible sort of thing. And then
Mhm,
John Woo directs the second Mission Impossible movie, which they
mhm.
do a lot of face changing in that one, probably
Yes.
more than all the other Mission Impossibles. And then you see some of the things in this terms of like gun battle to then, and confusion of who's who to like a chase. And they do that
Mhm.
in this too with the boat chase. So
Yes.
it's
Mhm,
the daughter, like who do you shoot? And they do
mhm.
sort of a who's getting shot trick in Mission Impossible 2, and then we get into a boat chase and then motorcycle chase in Mission Impossible. So I just
Mhm.
like that kind of I thought that was interesting because to me this really feels like a stepping stone to Mission Impossible 2. It's like we take
Yeah.
a lot of ideas and then we really, perfected them
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel there are a lot of the same, you know, gadgetry elements in terms of changing faces, and this is like a, you know, I don't know. I call it gadgetry because I think it's like a trick. It's not,
Mhm.
um, like with IMF, you have the masks and things like that, and here we're having literal surgery. Um,
Mhm.
so there are a lot of like those kinds of things that are in their rudimentary elements here that, yes, get better in MI2. I also think with that, there's a very clear storytelling arc that John Woo is interested in playing out in both of these films. And it's, you and your shadow self. And
Mm.
how do you process some of the things you've done as you look at someone who's had such a big impact on your life wearing your face, you know? And there's a catharsis of, you know, there's definitely trauma for Archer in particular in wearing Castor Troy's face and like dealing with, being the embodiment of the murderer of his son. And obviously there's some like exercising of his own guilt there. And then there's like a catharsis in killing that person, but also killing yourself because that person is wearing your face. And
Mhm.
there's a exercising of that guilt and that remorse and that kind of rage that he's held on to for all these years. So this it's spy tropes, but it's very psychological too. And you can see it
Yeah.
in both, movies where in MI2 it's, Tom Cruise and DeGray Scott who are like shadow versions who have worn each other's faces.
Yep.
So there's a
They've worn each
similar
other's faces, they know each other well, so that's how they kind
right.
of, like
They
You
know the
know
same women, they, like, are
Yep,
they can be each other believably, convincingly, they know enough details about each other, there's yeah.
yep. And it's in that it's like, Doug Ray Scott's character is, like, pretending to be Ethan, and then, finding out that Naya is actually with Ethan now and is his ex, so there's, like, not a killing each other with a different face on that, but,
Right.
like, having to deal with that, like, pain, through someone else's
Yes.
eyes in that sense. And then, also our leading lady having to kind of play coy to this, in Mission
Mhm.
Impossible is very much longer sort of I'm going to be a spy here in this
Right.
situation. But in this, it's still like, okay, I now know the truth and I have to just keep it secret
Right.
because, yeah.
I
So,
have to keep this going, like, I have to keep up the play act so you can,
yeah.
get him.
Yep. Yep. So I just thought that was fun. I think this movie, we mentioned it was kind of long. I think that this would be kind of the perfect just fun action movie sort of thing if it was a little bit shorter. Like it feels a little
Yeah.
long to be that sort of like just throw on and you know gun
Yeah.
battles and
Yeah, it was a mite long for my taste, although I appreciated the kind of sandwich of the plot where it's the opening is all action, ramp up, 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 up. We have our first, showdown, gun battle, um, airplane, car chase, it's all action, just high stakes, high adrenaline. And then we do the come down into this very emotional plot. Could that some of that have been shortened? Yes, I would say so. But I did appreciate the different pacing and the different stone storytelling um break there from all the action. And then we like at the end ramped just all pure action all up again.
yep, yep.
So
No, it's a good point. Because they sold well to me. I'm like, I felt it. I'm like, this is a horrible situation to be in, and then they make
Mhm.
it horrible, like much more horrible, because I'm like, okay, so how is he gonna get his face, how is Nick Cage gonna get Travolta's face on? How is that gonna happen here? And then it's like, oh yeah, while he's in prison, and then he can embody, it's like I've only seen, but I should say before, I'd only seen parts of this. I'd never seen it all the way through. So this is really my first time watching all the way through.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen it all the way through, but I it's such a long time that I'm not sure now that I have because there were
Mhm.
elements that definitely felt surprising to me.
Yeah. So it's like, man, that would be a really shitty situation. I'm like, how are you gonna get out of this? But if of course it's like, well, this is a fun action movie, so I can just get out because I have a plan and here we go. So
Right.
but yeah, no, I thought that was good. I liked seeing the guy from Lost World in here play the brother.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's
Pollock's
good.
Troy. Yeah, I love that, Castor and Pollock. That was good.
What else stood out here?
Mm.
I mean, overall, did you like enjoy your time by the time it was over? It was a
I
good ride.
did. I did because I felt that there were a lot of elements to explore. There was, definitely some mindless action fun and, just give yourself over to the pure adrenaline of the boat chase, the airplane chase, the shootouts. But there was so much more psychologically happening that I was really interested in, mostly with Sean Archer, Travolta's OG character, um, and his journey of like becoming Castor Troy, like the more complicated
Yeah.
depths sink to so much of the realizations he had to come to. Um, yeah, just knowing that, the real Castor Troy was out there, like infiltrating his family, probably
Mhm.
sleeping with his wife, there's just
Infiltrating his
so
wife. Yep.
yeah, and yes. um, there's so much there. And then you bring in like the secondary element of Castor Troy has a son that he learns about who is the
Yeah.
same age or near similar age, obviously, to the son that was killed. And
Mhm.
there's more psychological trauma just thrown at him again.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Obviously,
have to
like,
say
he has breaks at several points in this movie, and he somehow pieces
understandable, yeah.
himself back together,
Mhm,
probably a little brokenly, probably a little, not like the original, but yeah. Oof.
mhm. I have to say when the movie first opened, I was like, "Oh, man, not a kid thing." Every kid thing now is just like, "I don't wanna see it." So,
I know, it
that
hits
was
different, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. So, I was really, really on John Travolta's side. Like, I was
Yes,
right away, I was like, I don't care, Nick Cage he's dead to me." So,
yes.
yeah, Castor Troy, but it was yeah, it was interesting to see him then try to do that whole thing where he's got to put up the image that he's Castor Troy, but try not to do too many drugs and try to
Mhm.
like not be a bad guy. Like he's telling people not
Yeah,
to shoot the cops and stuff like that. He's attempting to
right.
whatever he can to balance that to
Mhm.
not give himself up, but even escaping prison, you know,
Mm,
trying to just like knock the
right,
guards down or whatever and stuff like
right.
that. So,
Yeah, speaking of that, I also thought it was really interesting when he took drugs and almost shot himself. He was so
yes.
out of it. He was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's Castor Troy," and then he's like,
That
"No, no, wait, remember you are Castor Troy right
yeah.
now." Oh, that was
Yep.
good. Cage sold
Yep.
that
Mhm.
that whole drug trip. That was really well done.
Yep.
I do
Yeah,
wanna say while we're on opening with the kid scene, that was traumatic, obviously, as a
mhm.
parent, but the whole thing was so stylized that I almost got out of the emotionality of it because
Okay.
I didn't love the way that it was so, like, I don't know, like, the balloons floating off and, like, the stylized falling and, like, the slow frame shots. I was a
Mm,
little like, I see the cinematography and the movie making happening here. Um, but then conversely, I loved all of, like, the stylized staging of the church shootout, the
mm,
church confrontation after the funeral, like, the doves, like, the choir, crucifix imagery. It was all, like, over the top, and I loved it. Loved
sure.
that.
Yeah, I mean, John Woo, you need the balloons and the doves.
I know.
That's what you
I know.
need.
The doves worked for me, the balloons did not. Just
Okay.
as a
Alright.
as a note to John Woo.
Yeah, with the church thing, it's sort of like, can feel Boondock Saintsy. That's sort of like
Mhm.
over the top, using that sort of
Yeah.
thing, yeah. Mhm. I thought the boat chase was quite good, good stunts.
Mhm.
But I think it looks like you commented on it too. It definitely saw a few occasions where it was very clearly not Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Very clearly other people that were
Oh my
the
god,
stunt
and
guys.
especially at the end when they were, like, flying through the air, I was like,
Yes.
"Hey,
It's not
nice to meet
even
you guys."
where'd these
It was
guys come
not
from?
yeah,
Did they hit them with
I
the
know.
boat and knock it's like yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was some low grade effort at, disguising 2 actors or
Mhm.
2 stuntmen as actors.
But what would you I mean, try to pull the camera back further or, like, make the stunt less cool? I don't know what you do, like, you appreciate that they did a really cool stunt, I guess, you know?
They did, they did, it was very cool, but yeah. It is I think that's, sometimes maybe the problem with the retro rewind is that you can see, you
Yeah.
know, where effects were.
Yep. So, do you think Castor Troy grew any when he was forced to visit the grave of the kid that he murdered?
Ooh,
Did his
I
heart
say
grow in
yes.
size? Okay.
I mean, I don't know that he grew, but he definitely seemed to feel something
Mhm.
when Joan Allen was really breaking down and, putting the toys up there and then sobbing that he took our son. it
Yeah.
did seem genuine to me that he didn't know quite what to do or how to handle it, but it was very uncomfortable for him
Hmm.
to be there. And there
Right.
was something real about sitting in that discomfort and yet trying to make her feel better.
Hmm. Um, Kind of just skipping all over the place, but I liked that towards the beginning after they captured Castor Troy, Travolta was like, instead of just like woohoo celebrate, he was like, hey,
Mm,
remember all the people lost in the attempt to get him. I did like
yeah.
that.
Well, and that was another a red herring there where, we saw that happen, and then later on, whenever he walked back in as Castor Troy and everybody was like, "Woohoo, congratulations." It's like when he walked in with the sunglasses, it was like, "Oh, I'm just eating up this adoration."
Yeah. Yep.
Nobody thought, "Boy, that's a different reaction
Hmm.
than ones we've had before." So we as the audience were sitting there like, "Recognize this."
Yeah. Yep. Hmm. um I definitely was, when they were fighting each other towards the end of the, like, house raid and stuff. They're on the opposite sides of the wall and stuff.
Mhm, mhm,
And,
mhm.
Castor's like, well, I guess we should just trade back then, or whatever. I'm like, yes, say yes. Just, I mean, I don't know how you're going to make this happen exactly, but if there's a compromise to just
Right,
like both swap back, do that. Because for a while, obviously, Castor would have he had the upper hand here.
right.
It made sense for him to play out this reality right now. But once that was, once that started to disappear, yeah, swap it back. How would that
Yeah,
have gone? Like, could you possibly believe him in any way to make that
no,
work? Okay.
no, no,
Okay.
no, I
So
don't think
yeah.
you could believe him. Um, I also was wondering about that because, Castor Troy is obviously impulsive. It is smart, but maybe doesn't think everything through to its logical end because he definitely joked about, burning down the lab surgery center where this all happened and was like, "Oh, beats paying the bills. Like I killed the doctor." So how are you going to get your face back, man?
I know. Yeah.
Like, is there a point when you want to genuinely trade back and you can't do it because you just murdered the guy who knows how
Yeah.
to do it? Like, this isn't just an everyday thing.
Yeah. That would
So,
really change the plot to be like, the doctor's still alive and you have to get the doctor to put
right,
this back and to be any sort of proof that we are,
right.
that would definitely change it.
But they just
Hmm.
sort of skip over that and, at the end, obviously, they just let you believe that Travolta can
Another
just get his face back.
professional, yeah, another professional and a throwaway line from Joan Allen. We got the other doctor coming out,
Right,
you know,
right.
and this doctor he'll put your love handles back. By the way, don't worry about that.
Everything
Um,
back. The
yeah.
body type switch.
Hmm.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I don't know that I liked was the adoption of the kid at the end.
No,
That seemed maybe unhealthy,
creepy,
you know?
creepy. Yes.
I get it's like maybe I suppose good for the kid, Like if you're thinking about the
Mhm.
kid, he doesn't have this like horrible broken whatever where he's from,
Right.
but I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's clearly problematic because there is a very real sense that these people are going to be reviewing him as a replacement son, and
Exactly.
that is not
It's not
healthy. Conversely, they are also the only people who will understand how learning about his past and his parents could also be very damaging to his psyche and can try and walk him through. My parents were essentially deemed bad people in, the case of my dad, maybe a little more true than my mom. Maybe there's some gray area there. Can I learn about her through FBI files? Anybody who knew her, you know, can help kind of usher him through that very confusing narrative.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I don't know that that's going to completely balance out the fact that they're clearly adopting him as Michael Jr., Michael 2.0.
Um, so your dad, murdered our son, who looked a lot like you, and, you know, now he can be here, and, let's take a trip down to the DMV. We're gonna do a name change, so get used to the new name.
Yeah. It's
Ah,
yeah, it's problematic on a bunch of levels.
so I
Like I
just
said, they're obviously going to be understanding of, like, the mass chaos and confusion that learning about this backstory will cause for this kid, and can give him maybe some grace to work through it, but yeah, it's messed up.
I think saving the kid is enough. You
Enough.
save the kid
Somebody else take him.
of yeah, mhm,
Mhm.
and we could have an update, I guess, somehow. I mean, but the thing there was nothing thrown out where another logical some sort of place for the kid fits. But
Mhm.
I don't know that we would have missed just not knowing. The kid's
Sure.
alive. The kid's alive because of him and there, I don't know. Hmm,
Mhm.
hmm. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
there was a little bit of, I think, nuclear family wish fulfillment happening at the end,
Yeah.
because not only do we get, like, "Oh, we have a replacement for our dead son," we also get my daughter magically cleaned herself up
Yeah.
and is, like, acting like a younger, more innocent version of herself.
Yep.
She almost, like,
I
gets
got my
demoted
brother
from, like,
back.
seven yeah, she gets demoted from, like, a 17-year-old to, like, feeling like she's 12, like, the way that her mannerisms have changed
Hmm.
and she's acting. She does oh my god, she does that run that Maggie Grace does in Taken, where they're, like, 17 years old, but they like, to make themselves seem younger, they run like they're, like, 12. They're like, "Oh, it's,
Oh,
like, awkward in my
okay.
elbows," and I'm, like,
Mhm.
uncoordinated and gangly.
They were never on the track team.
It's so put on. It's just
Yeah.
it's so
No.
fakey.
Yep.
Like, I know what they're doing. So,
Yep.
yeah, so I
Roger
do
that.
think this sort of tidies up at this as this weird, like, Sean comes home, I have my new son, and I have my daughter as the old version of herself, and everybody's happy.
Yeah. Yep. Mhm.
There are some years of therapy that need to go for that family.
Yep. Mhm. Um, let's see what else. There's one other thing I was gonna say
Mm,
about this maybe, but I don't know. I overall enjoyed it. I think that's my
yeah.
biggest problem with it, honestly. And then it could have been a little bit shorter. Um, and otherwise, good romp. I'm glad I saw it all the way through, beginning to end. Where did you watch this? Did you just rent it, or do you own it, or?
No, I watched it on TV because we have AMC.
Oh,
So,
okay.
it was
Yeah,
like a, whatever televised version that AMC runs with commercial breaks, unfortunately. Um,
see, mine
or
didn't
or
have
fortunately. I don't know.
sure. Mine didn't have commercial breaks, but it had, like, the spots for them. So it made me like, the screen would, like, dim and then would come back, like that's where a commercial was gonna be, but there wasn't one.
Weird.
So I'm like, "I hope I'm not watching some edited version made for
Where did you watch it?
TV." AMC Plus.
Oh,
So the
I mean,
streaming
maybe
app,
yeah, maybe I'm betting it's the same movie,
the
but
same version.
since it's not I just have AMC, I
Mhm.
got literal commercials and you just got, like, down up. Like,
Yeah,
you don't actually have the breaks, but they didn't put the
yeah.
time to just, like, show you the film.
I'm just like, "I better not be missing some blood or nudity or something here," it's just like but I don't think so, the way that where they were cut,
Yeah,
it's just like
I don't think so
but
either, but I'd be
it was
curious.
unexpected. Yeah. Alright,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
good
Face Off.
film. Some plot holes, I think, and some, a little just gotta roll with the believability and enjoy the ride. but truly wonderful, wonderful performances by Travolta and Cage. Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
I think this should be like, we should do it's like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. We just chain this. So we did Nicolas Cage. So then we did, Nicolas Cage is in it. So we have a Nicolas Cage movie. Now we do another John Travolta movie.
Ooh,
And
okay.
then
All
we
right.
do someone else in that, and then someone else in that.
Okay. I'm down. I'm down. Let's do it.
Be kind of cool. So yeah, we got to pick something John Travolta.
All right. All right. Challenge accepted.
All right.
Looking at his
Audience, if you
catalog
have
right now.
any suggestions, throw them at us. Can be very similar. I know actually we've wanted to talk about Pulp Fiction for a long time.
Oh my.
That would give us way too many options to chain off of for different movies,
It
like with
really
the
would.
sheer number of stars in that.
Also,
But
we would absolutely have to have Chris on because that's one of his favorite movies of all time. Of
I know.
all
So we'd
time.
have to like see for if this is the next one, like if he's got any sort of availability in a couple weeks, because otherwise
Yes, for
I just want
sure.
to pick something else. So, but yeah, exciting things to look forward to. So yeah, well, the next Popcast on the Rocks probably in 2 weeks' time, and next week be another Ohio anime. That's the plan for now. We'll see. But make sure you subscribe and follow, and that's how you'll see what's happening. Twitch, we go live on Twitch. Everything that's live goes live on Twitch. That's where we stream it to our Popcast on the Rocks channel. We also go live now to YouTube and X. So follow in those places. That's fine. This stream is going to come off of our regular YouTube while we like tighten it up, and it'll get re-uploaded as a podcast. So you'll find that on Popcast on the Rocks and on your podcast services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you get the time. That'd be much appreciated. Killing the Flower wrote our theme song, so you can check them out on music streaming services. Trackmouse 34 on YouTube. That's our friend Mike. Does racing videos and stuff like that. MJ Honeybee, she streams Dead by Daylight. She's also played Mario Kart with us once on here and was on our anniversary episode. So MJ Honeybee on Twitch and YouTube, give her a follow. Peter J. Gilbertson, he was on a couple weeks ago for our anniversary stream as well. We need to have him on more, but he is a writer, and you can find his books on Amazon. They're often very cheap. Sometimes they're free reading with Prime. So that's Peter J. Gilbertson. Check that out. And I think that's most of our friends to plug here, other than
You made the
ourselves.
rounds.
So yeah, right. So otherwise, that's been Popcast on the Rocks. Andrea, thanks once again for joining me. See you next time.
Of course. As always. Cheers, everybody.